Hey everyone and welcome. Today, we're going to dive deep into the core concepts of n8n. Think of this as the engine that powers all those incredible automations. And by the end of this, you'll have a solid grasp on the fundamental building blocks you need to make your data really, truly work for you. So let's jump right in.
So let's start with a big question. What if your data could think? What if your workflows weren't just these simple straight lines, just moving information from point A to point B? What if they could actually make decisions, react to different situations, and intelligently route your data exactly where it needs to go? Well, that's exactly what we're going to build today.
Everything, and I mean everything, begins right here on the n8n canvas. This is your digital workshop. It's your command center. It's the place where you're going to build, test, and manage every single piece of your automation, from the tiniest little task to the most complex branching process you can imagine.
And inside this command center, you've got everything you need. You can name and tag your workflow to keep things organized. This little activation switch, that's what takes your automation live. And hey, if you ever need to undo a change, version history has totally got your back. Everything you build appears right here in the main space, and the zoom controls let you navigate even the biggest, most complex designs with total ease. Every powerful machine out there is built from really simple parts, and the same thing is true for your automations. So before we can build something complex and amazing, we first need to understand the fundamental components, the actual atoms of every single n8n workflow.
At the very heart of it all is the node. And a node isn't just a step on a list, it's an action. It's a doing thing. Reading a spreadsheet, filtering data, sending an email, each one of those tasks lives inside its own node. And all you have to do is connect them together to build out your process.
But not all nodes are created equal. There are really two main types you've got to know. First up, the trigger node. You can always spot it by that little orange lightning icon. It has one job and one job only: to start the workflow. Maybe it's on a schedule, or maybe it kicks off when a form gets submitted. Whatever it is, it's the starting gun. Every other node is a standard node. These are the workhorses that take data in, do something with it, and then pass it along to the next step.
Okay, now we get to the really powerful stuff. See, connecting nodes in a straight line is useful, for sure, but branching is what makes your workflow truly intelligent. This is how we move beyond simple one-track automations and start building processes that can actually make decisions.
This quote right here just nails it. Branching is how you create different paths for your data. Think about what that means. Instead of building and maintaining, say, 5 different automations for 5 different scenarios, you can build one smart one that just adapts on the fly. That's the real power we're talking about here.
So the first and probably most common way to branch is with what we call a conditional split. I want you to think of it like a fork in the road for your data. Each piece of information arrives at this point, and based on a rule that you set, it gets sent down one specific path or the other.
Here's how it works with something like an IF node. An item arrives at the node then asks a really simple question, like, does this email end in a work domain? If the answer is yes, it goes down the true path. If the answer is no, it goes down the false path. It's that simple. But the key thing to remember is each item can only go down one of those paths.
But what if you don't want to choose? What if you want to do several different things with the exact same piece of data? Well, that's where our second branching method comes into play: duplication.
With duplication, it's pretty cool. When an item of data arrives at a node, you can just drag multiple connections out of it. And when you do that, an identical copy of that data gets sent down each one of those paths at the exact same time. This is perfect for when you need to, say, add a new user to your CRM and send them a welcome email simultaneously.
All right, that's enough theory. Let's see how all these building blocks actually come together in a real-world scenario. We're going to take everything we've just learned, nodes, triggers, branching, and use it to clean up a messy contact list. So here's our mission. We've got a list of contacts, but it's a bit of a mess, and it's definitely not ready for an email campaign. Some entries are missing info, and we really want to segment our audience. So the goal is to totally automate that cleanup and sorting process. So this is our starting point. Our workflow kicks off with this raw list of 10 contacts that it's just pulled from a Google Sheet. As you can see, it's a mix of complete entries and some not-so-complete ones. Okay, first things first, data quality. There's really no point in trying to email someone if they don't have an email address, right? So our very first node is a super simple filter. Its only job is to remove any contact where that email field is empty.
And just like that, the workflow runs. It takes our list from 10 messy contacts down to 8 clean, usable ones. Instantly. No manual work required.
And now we make the workflow smart. We're going to add an IF node, that's our conditional split, to look at each of those beat remaining emails. The node will ask a simple question for each one. Does this email end in @Gmail or @Hotmail? This is what's going to let us separate our contacts into two totally distinct groups.
And boom, here's our final result. The IF node did its job perfectly. Those 8 contacts were automatically sorted into 2 clean lists, 5 professional emails and 3 personal ones. Now we're all set for 2 different targeted campaigns, and it all came from one single automated workflow. So there you have it. We've covered the canvas, nodes, and branching, and we've actually seen how they all combine to create a really smart, automated process. The big question now is, what are you going to do with all this?
With these concepts, you basically now have the grammar to build almost any workflow you can possibly imagine. Every single complex automation out there starts with just one trigger node and one simple connection. So the only question left is, what tedious task, what messy data, what manual process are you going to automate first?